Monday, August 15th, 2022, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Today, we're going to look at my survival manual for Klaus Schwab's dystopian world. Before I start, though, I like to say, yes, today is the 51st anniversary of when President Nixon closed the gold window or suspended the convertibility of the dollar into gold at a fixed rate of $35 per troy ounce. And it was supposed to be temporary. And here we are, having completed the 50th year. We entered the 51st year, and we still have that action being implemented. And what has that really meant for the world? Well, it has meant 50 years of inflation. And yes, inflation hasn't just started in the last 18 months. What we have seen in the last 18 months is just a consequence of inflation. Inflation has been baked in the cake for over 50 years. What we're seeing is consumer prices now, all that money or currency and credit flowing into consumer prices. And it was going to happen. Yes, they're going to find a lot of reasons for it. The war in the Ukraine, COVID, supply chains. But if it hadn't been those things, it would have been something else, because it's just like night and day. After night, there is day. After day, there is night. And the same thing goes for inflation. You inflate the currency, it becomes worth less. And that's what rising prices are. So, yes, those of you who think inflation has peaked or prices have peaked, really, that's the thing. You will be in for a big shock, in my opinion. So, back to Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. Yes, actually the European Management Forum, which was really the forerunner to the World Economic Forum, was founded in 1971, which is quite interesting. Is it coincidence? Maybe. But we know as well that Klaus Schwab was a protege of Henry Kissinger, and Henry Kissinger has been part of the deep state for many decades, and was back then. So you never know. But I started noticing, actually, the World Economic Forum pushing for things like the green agenda for climate change, even before 2020. On Facebook, I could see that they're pushing it quite a bit, and I could see some of my friends liking the propaganda, and I could see right through it, of course, because I have been researching all these subjects for a couple of decades. I've talked about George Hunt, the video he made about Unsaid, and how the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Maurice Strong were all involved in pushing for this agenda. So I could see when the World Economic Forum back in 2017, 2018 started pushing this on Facebook, and they had millions of followers. They probably have more now. Yeah, I thought to myself, this is not good. So before I go on to the survival manual, just wanted to tell you that if you go onto my YouTube channel under content and you search Davos, you'll find about 8 videos there. And the first one was from January 23rd, 2019. And it's entitled Davos, the Globalist Agenda and Climate Change. So, yes, I've been ahead of the curve on this. I'm not trying to brag. And I also made a video on June 20th, 2020. Davos man calls for the Great Reset and Fourth Industrial Revolution. And that's what we need to keep doing. We need to keep informing the public about this, because of this video from June 2020, Remnant Video, which is run by Michael Matt. Michael Matt runs a traditional Catholic newspaper. I think it's called The Remnant. It was started by his father. Saw my video, and from that video, he woke up kind of to the World Economic Forum, and he made a video, and he got apparently millions and millions of views, and I think that has helped. So even little Monaco 64 here with Billy have made a bit of a difference. So what is Klaus Schwab's dystopian world and or the globalist blueprint for the world? Well, I think it's one in which the family doesn't exist, one in which the state is the most important thing, or government. It's one, of course, where you are dependent on the state, the oligopoly, or whatever you want to call it, the people in charge, the billionaire class, where you will own nothing, right? I'm not sure if you'll be happy. You might be happy, but I certainly wouldn't be. And the question people need to ask, if you don't own anything and you're renting from someone, someone must own something, right? So right there, you can see how twisted this philosophy is, because someone will own something. Someone has to, because you can't rent from someone if someone doesn't own something. But more to the psychological side of things, I would say one thing they hate, the people at Davos, the globalists, Herr Schwab, is critical thinkers, people who ask questions. And I actually think that's the most important thing, really, in my manual for survival in this world. It's not gold or silver. It's critical thinking. The other one, I think, is sticking with people, having friends that think like you, that are like-minded. Unfortunately, that will mean giving up a lot of your friendships if a lot of your friends are not really in tune with what's going on. But this is about survival, I would say. Yeah, of course, having some gold and silver physical will help you. It will keep you free a little longer than everyone else. And why do I say everyone else? Well, because I think very few people will. Even people who right now are relatively well off, they won't be well off. They will own nothing, because they won't have prepared, like having some of their savings outside the system, like in gold and silver. Also, not having debt is a very good thing, because once you have that, you're beholden to the globalists, because they control the credit system right now. Yes, I told you guys that I just sold my existing car, which I have paid for many years ago, and I sold it under duress because we're being taxed here in London for just driving a car that is a diesel car and is older than a certain age. And we bought a new car. We're actually getting it on Wednesday. And I leased it. And that is kind of a debt, of course. And I won't be owning that car. And I'm aware of that. The only reason I've done it is because it's there. And I think having a bit of debt now will be a good thing if you're in a good financial situation to do it. And I am at the moment. And my plan, of course, is actually to pay off the car maybe in 6 months to a year's time. The car that I have now, I did the same thing. It was leased, but 2 years later, 2.5 years after I bought it, I paid it off. So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have any debt. But you should be aware that where debt can take you and not to abuse it. It's a double-edged sword, debt. What else is really important, I think, in this Klaus Schwab's dystopian world, or Hunger Games society, really? I think that story describes where they want to drive us into really well. Making sure you help family as well. Yes, some family members will not want to hear about what you have to say. So I guess you just have to let them go their own way, unfortunately. That's the other thing. I don't think you can be too much of a preacher. You can talk to people if they ask you about it. But if they're not interested, I wouldn't waste my time. And that's why I make these videos. And I've been making these videos since late 2015. And one of the purposes of this video is not just economics, but it's contrarian thinking. It's going against the grain. And with that, I would also say that trying to stay away from the programming is very important. And what does that mean? Well, we haven't had a television since 2015. Yes, we do have access to Amazon Prime and Netflix, but you have to be very discerning. You have to realize sometimes that there's a lot of propaganda in these shows. I try to avoid reading the newspapers too much. The only time I read them is to try and help you inform the public what's going on, but also put my contrarian and economic thinking behind it, not the mainstream thinking behind it. So yes, try to avoid their program, and try to do everything that's opposite of what the people in power are trying to tell you. And sometimes just don't consent to what they want you to do. Because if you remember well, about a year and a half ago when they started the program, the medical program, I'm not going to say what it was. Even I, at the time, thought, well, I'm never going to be able to travel again to go see my family in Switzerland and go abroad. Because they're saying that if you don't get the full treatment, you won't be able to travel. And that has turned out to be a complete failure for them, because I think a lot more of us refuse to do it. So they're allowing you to go and travel to many places now, no questions asked. Yeah, and I think that's very important as well. We need to just say no. And but most importantly, it's the critical thinking, I would say. So with that, let's quickly look at where the markets are this morning. It's 8:35 a.m. London time. We've got spot gold at $17.89. Yeah, it's down $13. There you go. The bullion banks are still in charge of the paper price. That's what it is, the paper price. And that's why I said that many people, even the relatively wealthy, will own nothing, because they won't have any gold or silver, because the powers that be make it very frustrating to own gold. And I know that from personal experience, because I've been trying to stack as much as possible since 2002. But the way you have to think about it is, if you get rid of your financial protection against the globalists, you're actually financing them, because you're going to go straight back to their currency. That's how I think about it. I don't want to finance my enemies. So there you go. The high has been 03 overnight, and the low 1787.50. Silver getting hit as well. It's down 25 at 2055. Low has been 53 and the high 89. The Dow futures is down 131.4%. NASDAQ 100 futures is down 0.5%. S&P 500 is down 0.5% as well. So the stock market getting hit as well. The FTSE is up slightly at 75.10. Eurostoxx 50 is up slightly too. So to the foreign exchange market, to the fiat currencies, we've got sterling down a third at 120.97. Euro is down about 0.2 at 102.42. Dollar's down slightly versus the Japanese yen, 133.41. Dollar's up 0.2 versus the Swiss franc at 94.30. And the dollar's up 0.5% versus the Chinese currency at 677. Dollar's up slightly versus the ruble at 61. So yeah, ruble seems to be stuck, or the dollar's stuck around 60, 61. So fairly steady of late. Aussie dollar is down 0.7% at 70.73. The dollar is, let's see, up 0.5% versus the loonie, or the Canadian dollar, 128.30. So it seems like the dollar's strengthening a little bit overnight. The Kiwi dollar is down almost, it's down 7/8% at 63.95. To the general commodities, we got WTI crude down 1.6% at 90.20, and Brent is down 1.5 at 96.06. High-grade copper is down about 1.8% at 360. U.S. nat gas is down 1.2% at 864. Let's check the European nat gas future, or the TTF. That's still quite elevated. It's trading around 209, and it's up 1.4%. To finish off, let's quickly check the bond market. U.S. Treasury yield curve. The 10-year yield is unchanged at 285, and the 2-year as well is unchanged at 326. So the curve is still inverted by about 41 basis points. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide, and think about subscribing to this channel if you haven't yet. And with that, I wish you all a great rest of the day. Take care. Bye.